Welcome to Brick Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brad the Brick Critchfield, and today, Brandon Manriquez. No, Manriquez.
Yes.
Manriquez.
Correct.
Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Be honest. My last name is Critchfield. I'm not one to... I don't feel bad if I ever get someone's name. My entire life's been wrong.
That's how I say it.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about a few things. And, man, so this is like the time of year that things really ramp up for you.
Absolutely.
And that's my segue into the first thing we're going to talk about, which is the Kessel Toy Run.
Okay.
So, Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Kessel Toy Run is and how it got started, man?
Okay. So the Kessel Toy Run is a Star Wars-based toy drive I came up with a couple friends last year. The idea was to just do something positive. It was kind of a difficult time in our country when this was all going on. There was a lot of political, all these political fights, the landscape that's going on. And then the thing that really set it off was the Las Vegas shootings. So we were just sitting at home just feeling bummed about like people being bad to each other, not being good. And we figured out, let's do a toy drive. And so we came up with the idea of just only Star Wars toys for hospitalized children and their siblings. We didn't want to forget the brothers and sisters because they might not be sick, but they're also going through the process and watching everything happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And your connection with the hospital?
Oh, I'm a emergency room ER nurse. Yeah.
Right. And your wife also
is a nurse practitioner.
Yep.
That's where we met. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the honor and privilege, and thank you again for letting me shoot the video last year.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and that was also very emotional for me. And because, as you know, I have a special connection to Miller's Children's Hospital,
mm-hmm.
and specifically when we went through the oncology ward, that was very emotional for me. And I just absolutely love what it is you're doing, and as you know, I'm always gonna support it in any way I can.
Yeah.
And so this year, you had said last year at the end of the video that this year is going to be even bigger. So what does that mean? What are your goals for this year for the Kessel Toy Run?
So last year we exceeded our expectations by miles. I was kind of hoping initially we'd get like 100 toys. Like any toy is cool, but 100 toys would be fantastic. We ended up getting somewhere between 800 and 1,000 Star Wars items, which turned out to like
800 or 1,000.
800 to 1,000. We stopped counting after like 500. It just got too hard.
We had so many boxes, man.
Yeah, we had.
And some of those are really cool too. Some cool toys.
Absolutely. People were very generous. So this year, I'm hoping we could at least generate the same, if not more. If it's less, that's fine too. But it really took off. We got a little premiere or editorial in the Star Wars Insider magazine, which is it's huge.
Photos in there too.
Yeah, there were some good photos in there. We had a little bit of help.
It was the first time I've ever been published, so it's a big deal for me.
But doing a toy drive just once and getting recognized right off the bat and into one of like the magazines you read and people follow, worldwide was pretty great. And then the exposure from the video, which you did, I mean, it couldn't have been better to give everyone that contributed or didn't, and maybe this year they will, a view of what we saw and how happy the kids were.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. I can't wait. And we already have people from, different toy websites and things like that are contacted us and say, hey, we'd like to, make donations. So it's getting pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's funny is like that was kind of at the beginning of my whole film, because I tend to be a hobbyist with a lot of things, so I kind of get into them. But that was kind of like at the very beginning. So like I'm like, even for me in my own selfish way, I'm like, I just want to make a better video than I did last year.
Right.
So I'm really excited about. I already have a bunch of ideas how we're gonna do it, too. So it's gonna be really cool. And then we're talking a little bit about doing a kickoff, because you're gonna start accepting donations for the toy run today. Tomorrow's the official date. So if I handed you a toy right now, you just like I'd set knock it out of my hand like tomorrow.
I'll come pick you up tomorrow. No, it's like we'll take toys year round. It's just
Right.
like it's like a soft opening before then, and then tomorrow's like the official date because everyone gets really busy right about now with Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all back to back to back. So you don't want to just harass the crap out of them. Just like, hey,
Right.
this is what we're doing, but we also don't want to wait till 2 weeks before Christmas and be like, hey, can you do it now?
There's a nice middle spot.
Yeah.
Kind of put the word out now
Mhm.
to let people know, and
Yeah.
then pound it into their heads
Right.
as time goes on.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And is storage a problem? Do you find?
Last year, we were right at our brink. Our office you couldn't walk into it at the end. It was just packed to the walls with containers full of toys. And so this year, it might be an issue if we get to that same point, or if we get any more than last year, it's going to be an issue.
You're gonna get a lot more toys this year,
I hope so. Yeah.
right? I mean, because it wasn't like a. I mean, you put a lot of effort into it last time, I'm sure, but it was kind of like a new idea then. Now you've kind of had a year, even if you haven't been doing something on it every day. I mean, it's much more formulated now, right?
Yeah. Last year, I mean, we came up with the idea and I think launched it a couple days later. We had our friend, who's a friend of the podcast that we listen to, Evan DeCellis. He volunteered to do the artwork. He did it within like
really good artwork
a day or two. Yeah.
So this is the new one.
Yeah. That's for
Right.
this year. So it's the Kessel Toy Run episode 2. He did it he didn't want any kind of compensation. And as soon as I had those printed up and handed out, they were started to come in.
Do you have them yet?
The flyers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You have them with you?
No.
Okay. So we need to put those at the gym.
Okay.
Then also we're gonna put them at Kidstown in Lakewood, because I already talked to John, who has been generous enough to work with us a bit, and that's something that we're gonna. I mean, a lot of the details we're gonna work out, but as of right now, I believe the first week in December is what we're shooting for.
That'd be cool.
We're gonna have an event there, and we're gonna have people, kids dressed up with Star Wars. We're gonna have that party room. We're gonna make it a really cool event, and we're gonna be accepting donations the first week of December for that as well. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, if people have donations and they want to contribute to the toy run, where would they send? I mean, we could put it on the video later. I'll just put it like right
scrolling.
here. Yeah.
Let's see. I can tell you right now. I just want to make sure I get it right.
All right.
It's so it's going to be to my name. This is the only problem we've really ran into is that people can't send the toys to the Kessel Toy Run. Mm-hmm. You have to be, for the Postal Service to accept it, it has to be a recognized and established charity. So I would have to get it licensed. We found out through some family lawyers a couple months ago, it would take me $3,000 to $5,000 to get that made.
Yeah.
So
if anybody really wants to support, if you just kick back that $3,000 to $5,000, make this go a little easier, that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah. So it has to get sent to my name. So it'd be Brandon Manriquez, Brandon Brandon Manriquez Manriquez, P.O. Box 7232, Long Beach, California 90807.
Awesome.
And
Just send them there, and then we'll dish those out around Christmas time. And I don't know if you've seen the video, if you're watching this video, but I'll link it below. And that was last year's video, and like I said, that was really cool.
Yeah, YouTube, the Kessel Toy Run, and you did an amazing job. And like you kind of referenced before, I know it's not seen in the video, but I'll never forget your face, like walking in.
My crying face.
No, like it wasn't crying. It was just like you could see.
'Cause I walked outside to do that.
You got hit. It was pretty like heavy feeling walking through those doors, man.
There was one little girl in particular.
I remember.
I think we were coloring with her, or we were doing something with her at the table, and I was videoing.
There's a picture of her with the backpack.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And she looked like if Tori were to have a recurrence now, she's like the same age-ish, and like looked enough like her where like I was just like gut punched.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
I commend you for hanging in there. That
was tough.
Yeah.
So in the part of the video where there's a little time lapse, that's because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was tough. But I think that's what's important is I think people that are a part of it are doing it for the right reasons, and there's a there's a sincerity behind the mission.
Yeah.
I think that's the most powerful part about it.
Yeah. I think so too.
So speaking of which, I know you mentioned like there was the political climate, and that was a big reason why you want to do it. But was there any other reason? I mean, because you're in the medical field and you're focused on the hospital and the kids. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, at the hospital, we have an huge emergency room. It has like 50 some beds, 58, 60. And part of that ER is the kids' ER. We got a certain amount of beds set aside just for the kids. So, you work there long enough, you start to see parents have to go through, like what you guys have gone through, when they get a diagnosis that's not very favorable, or they have, some kind of trauma, whether it's car accident or things like that. And you see kids have to go through some really rough things that, they shouldn't have to. Not even as adults should they have to go through it. And you want to support them. And so when you see enough of that, it kind of can weigh on you a little bit. So you got, I had that, what's going on in the world, Vegas stuff. We had coworkers and friends that were there, lost family members, had to run. So like it really hit close to home.
Right.
And I was just upset. And, I'd been talking with a couple guys that do podcasts and are big Star Wars fans, and we just wanted to do something right. And then on top of that, last year we had the guys from Sal's group, Jedi Temple Prime, show up, and they showed up in full costume for all the kids, helped hand out the toys, and seeing like a Rey from Star Wars hand out Reys to little girls, things like that, and just seeing how happy they were. I don't know if I think they're more excited about the characters than the toys. Not just me, but
I think so too.
It was pretty neat to see. Yeah.
And that was great, man. Those guys they did amazing.
Yeah. And there's
trying to get out of the habit of saying guys, but those, how do you say, those people? That sounds terrible too. They did great.
Right.
And then they were awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're coming back this year, and there's rumors of some new characters that I'm really, really excited about.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And last year you didn't dress up.
I didn't. No.
But this year, are you thinking about it? Or
this is actually the same sweater I wore last year.
Is it? Is it?
Probably not, just because I'm usually the one responsible loading up the truck and getting everything ready. And I'm a bigger guy. I don't want to just be a sweaty character. Like
if I were to suggest a character,
don't say Jabba.
I wouldn't say Jabba. Why would I say that? It's not nice at all. I mean, I was thinking Chewbacca, but that's close enough.
Yeah,
close enough.
About 4 feet shorter.
Yeah, that's fine though. So that's gonna be fun. So a big part of it is Star Wars. So I understand why you're doing it and like who you're doing it for and what that means to you. But tell me a little bit about why Star Wars.
So essentially, my dad introduced us to Star Wars when I was a kid. We had grown up kind of like on a hippie combine where there wasn't really
a hippie combine.
Yeah, like there wasn't electricity, there wasn't plumbing, there wasn't anything. For like the first
much makes sense now.
2-3 years of my life, that was spent like in a tiny cabin, way smaller than this room, with 3 of us. And he finally moved us down to this ranch where he worked, and we finally had TV. And so he got all of the Star Wars episodes, now known as 4, 5, and 6, and he played it. And he would just, if I was being too loud or obnoxious, he'd just throw it on. I'd be quiet. So I watched Star Wars like endlessly while I was young. And now it even makes more sense. Like I didn't associate it then, but like Luke was on a farm by himself, no one to really hang out with, and couldn't escape. I was on a farm all by myself. I had one friend within like 15 miles. No transportation to get anywhere else. So it was like, that's what we did. We watched Star Wars over and over again. Went out, rode on our bikes, pretended to be the characters. And then my first toy I can remember is a Star Wars toy from my grandmother. It just goes on and on. Like all these moments just add up to it. And it just, it's got good morals for the kids. They're just great to watch.
Yeah. And how big's your collection?
I have a pretty large collection. Yeah, I do a lot of the vintage stuff. So all the toys from 77 to 85. It's gotten a little out of control, but
Yeah.
I have a very patient wife. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that in the wedding video.
We do. She is now moving the rest of her stuff out of the office, so now I get a
Yeah.
complete office. Yeah.
Command and conquer.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it. So that's awesome. So what else we got going on? So you also do other podcasts with just strictly Star Wars stuff too.
Yeah. The main one I do is now this is podcasting with my friends Randy and Jason and Sal, and
they're huge supporters of what you're doing.
Oh yeah, so the three people and the other people besides myself is the guys from Now This Is Podcasting and my friends over at Blue Harvest. We're kind of the three that like wanted to do this and see what would happen because they had tried charities in the past.
Yeah. It's hard to do, man. Like you said, that $3,000 to $5,000 thing. California in general doesn't like a lot of charities popping up.
Right.
I've had a hard time with Victory for Victoria, and that's something I'm still trying to push forward.
Right.
But it's tough.
But Jason had done things with, and I'm not going to name companies, but had tickets selling, movie tickets selling for the movie, and if the person put in the code and say that they bought it because of this show, they would give them a kickback so they could donate it to charity.
Yeah.
They sold them like thousands of dollars worth of tickets, thousands, and they ended up getting like $200 back.
Wow.
And Jason ended up having to put in find more money to contribute so it wouldn't be like this little tiny donation.
Yeah.
So he felt kind of burned, like, how do I make a bigger impact? And so this was
why that was through his charity?
The ones he had tried before.
Yeah.
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 Through the podcast.
It's tough, man, because I think like the thing is, like, charities technically only have to, by law, like contribute like 5% of their total what they take in, and the other 85 or 90% can go to overhead and like salaries, and there's a lot of corruption in that. So I understand people's skepticism with charities, but that's why it's almost better to go like smaller charities, things that are a little less things that haven't grown past their infrastructure.
And that's one of the reasons I did it this way is we don't take cash donations. I didn't want anyone to ever wonder where their money went.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see that there's a tangible thing that a kid's holding.
Yeah.
That they picked out that they want a kid to have or play with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's literally the only cash donation we get is from the other guy in the group. He does a holiday podcast with a bunch of the characters from the show, and then you can buy that for like $4.
Yeah.
And then whatever he makes up with that, he gives me, and then
awesome.
I just buy all the toys on Amazon with it.
That's cool.
And
That's actually where I'm going with Victory for Victoria, is not going the charity route and going the foundation route, because we don't technically do any. So like for you have a very specific mission, and that makes sense. But for me, like everything I do with Victory for Victoria is always just to support, because I have like my Victory Warriors, where I have like, she has that following. But I just use that to support causes that are important and things that have helped us along the way.
Right.
So like even like the Walk for Kids and things like that. I promoted, Victory for Victoria, and we have a team, but it's all supporting different causes. So that's more of like a foundation. And I've done a little bit like a reading on like the difference between like actual charities and foundations. So there's a lot to it, but I'm going to push forward on the foundation aspect and use that to like support other charities. And this is definitely even like the Kids Town event that's going to be coming up. I'm really going to have our Victory Victoria people support that as well, because like I said, we're going to the same hospital that she stayed 3 or 4 months at. Even walking through the oncology ward where we were staying, a lot of the nurses are like, Brad, what are you doing back? Wait, what are you doing back? So yeah, I think it's nice that you're not just asking people for money. And I think that it really does kind of streamlines the support too, because people don't have to worry about like what you were saying, like where's the money going, how is it spent. Just bring a toy.
And
bring a toy. It's going to end up with a kid.
Not only streamlining, my sister had the best idea of all, I think. she's like, why don't you just do an Amazon like gift list?
Yeah.
And so people
That's
can,
good.
we create, Dawn loves doing this. She likes picking the toys out. That's my wife. She makes a list.
I'm just kidding.
They don't.
I know.
So she makes a big list, and then you can just go on there and click, buy whatever you want, and then it's sent. You don't have to go to the store and buy it. Go home and package it, write it down the address, take it back to the post office. You can just literally click a couple buttons, and it's done.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
It turned out.
She gets to shop. Kids get toys. I mean, it's definitely
we had
win-win.
so many Amazon boxes last year. Just an insane amount.
And they just get shipped, and then, like you said, like storage wasn't too bad.
No, so I went and got a PO box specifically for this. The rest of our normal mail goes to our house, but
do you even get mail anymore? I feel like I don't get mail.
Bills and junk mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean, go green.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I
yeah,
get a lot of credit card offers though, man. Those things never stop. Does anybody really fall for that stuff? Sorry.
The PO box I set up is specifically for that. So
that's cool.
The mail workers were pretty surprised last year. Like about the middle of the toy drive, they started to know who I was and just set stuff aside. And when I would walk in, they're like, "There it is," and just be a pile of boxes, and it's pretty great.
So last year was 800 to 1,000. So this year it's 2,000.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's what you said last year.
What?
2,000.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Isn't
hope
that what you said on
I hope it's 10,000.
You said something on the end of the video. I need to revisit that and see what goals you set.
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously like to keep it at least where it's at, if not going forward.
So what happens if you have more toys than...
So we're adding a couple locations this year.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
We're going to do Long Beach Memorial, Miller Children's Hospital, Chalk, Children's Hospital of Orange County, and Ronald McDonald House of Long Beach.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you end up doing Ronald McDonald House?
Yeah, we ended up taking them like 4 containers, and they were definitely psyched just about that. So I'd like to get them a little more.
Yeah.
What I noticed, and this is a lesson learned after doing it just 1 year, our facility still has toys left over at this at this point in time. Like they still have containers of Star Wars. That's how much we got.
That's so cool.
So, I don't want them just sitting there in a basement. So if we go to a couple different locations, they can kind of get them used up throughout the year. And then by the time we come back, we're like, all right, let's replenish your stock.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Make it more of almost a year-round giving.
Right.
Rather than just Christmas time. That's cool. I bet you, I guarantee you, Ronald McDonald House will be more than happy to get more involved this year too. Because last year I know it was kind of like you had extra toys and we were kind of going there. But I mean, dude, the families, they fly through there too.
That was just stuff that showed up after like the delivery date. The stuff we took to Ronald McDonald House, and I was like, I don't really know what to do because Memorial got so much. And then I think it might have been you that mentioned it. Like, I know, there's Ronald McDonald House because you do work with them before. Yeah. And still do. And it turned out to be great. They were so polite and so grateful.
Yeah, they're awesome. All the people that work there are great.
Yeah.
They, because I'll go back like once a month and cook dinner. Mm-hmm. And there's, that to me is one of my favorite things to do. Is because you see the families come in and sometimes you don't really talk to them because they're just so, in the zone. But every once in a while, you'll see somebody that kind of like wants a conversation because they're just coming from the hospital there and they're kind of in this warped time. And I remember being there and sometimes just like talking to somebody who was there and like that was pretty cool. We did it a few weeks ago and had this really good conversation with this family.
Yeah.
And, but if like you said, it's not just about the kids in the hospital, it's their siblings because it's a hard time for the family.
Yeah.
Not just the little ones in there.
I've spent time not in Ronald McDonald House, but in a different hospital as a caregiver. I lived in a hospital for 2 years with my father, and it is important for those kind of things to happen. People to visit and cook, and volunteer and donate. It means the world. Sometimes this stuff happens. They can't afford presents. They can't they don't know what they're going to do for their kids.
Yeah, the parents are so busy they're not thinking about going out and shopping for,
They've been eating junk food for like 2 weeks, so like a home cooked meal means the world to them.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I go in there and I go a little too health heavy, and I'm like, dude, they don't care about my spaghetti squash. They're like, we're going through enough, buddy. Your freaking zucchini noodles, fitness freak. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's awesome. I could put you in contact with either Rebecca or I mean, they have so many awesome staff there that are like always looking to do stuff for the families there.
Yeah.
So that'd be really awesome.
Yeah.
We could even do an event there where we have like a Star Wars theme like dinner where we hand out. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dude, don't open the floodgates for me because I'll come up with ideas and you'll be like, dude, we're handing out toys. Chill out. So anything else? Any other shot? I know you really wanted to wear the hat,
Yeah.
but I couldn't see your face.
It's fine. I just didn't shave my head. It's fine.
What do you mean you didn't shave your head? You don't have a hair on your head.
It's
How
there.
Is there?
Yeah.
I almost shaved for you too.
It's all right.
I decided not to.
Looks good.
You think so?
Yeah.
Stop it. So tell me about the hat.
Oh, it's one of the places that's been really good to my friends in the podcast, Stillman Villainy Cantina down in Los Angeles. It's
That's the place you're telling me about.
Yeah.
Okay. And that they do the Star Wars.
Yeah. So
it's like unofficial Star Wars theme.
right.
Okay.
It's based after the Cantina in A New Hope, and so you can go down there. They do have some food. They got obviously drinks based after Star Wars themes. And they host a lot of events for podcasters like our friend Steele from Steel Wars. He does, live podcasts there after movie releases with a lot of the friends, and it's just a good time.
And are you going to do an event there for the toy run? Or working on it?
We're working on it. I'm hoping so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah. No. Other than that, you can go onto iTunes and listen to. We have basically. Jason has handpicked a bunch of great podcasters for making Star Wars podcasts, like umbrella. Everyone's under it. Network. So we have Blue Harvest, Road One, Rebel Girl. Now this is podcasting, podcast 2187, and there's like a whole bunch of them, and they're great.
That's awesome.
So if you have time, go on iTunes and listen to.
It's so cool that you have all the support of all those people, and it's great that they're all like-minded. Do you think
the Sith list? I can't forget the Sith list.
Do you think that's just coincidence that so many people that are in this Star Wars community are also you find to be charitable hearts?
I do. There's actually a lot of I hate to use the word drama, but there's this.
You can say drama. I just said no cussing.
Yeah, I know. Well, because it very much resembles like the political landscape right now. Like there's this huge battle in Star Wars of fans like just trying to take people down. Like we just lost one of our authors because there's this little side group of people that are mad about the way he writes things and the way he tweets and the profanity he uses, and like it just the James Gunn thing from Guardians of the Galaxy. They got him fired. So
that was pretty.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad, though, right?
Yeah, right. But
was he involved in Star Wars?
No, but it's Marvel. It's kind of Disney. It's kind of like this whole thing. Like, what's going on? Like, aren't people allowed to say how they feel, or like what?
Yeah, but his were bad, though.
His were bad.
He is a bad spokesperson for that message.
Yeah. So the point is.
But your point, sorry.
Yeah, there's this subset of people that are saying and doing real horrible things to people to the point where they're leaving social media. Like Kelly Marie Tran was harassed off social media. Daisy Ridley, on and on. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
But the majority is all these really good people.
Yeah.
Like people that just want to do good and be good people and be good fans. It's fine if you don't like a movie, but you don't have to completely, shit on it for everyone else and ruin everybody's time, say mean things, threaten. So, like, these people that are just in this network alone, I haven't met, I'd say, 80% of them. And they started promoting this toy drive without even, they just love the idea of it. They're like, hell yeah, this sounds perfect. I want to be involved. I want to promote it. And they would just run off with it. The Sith list is a perfect example. Araj, I had never met him. Just loved the idea, started promoting it. And I finally got to meet him, and he couldn't be any nicer of a guy.
Yeah. I think more of the focus should be on the people that are doing good,
right,
and people that are actually being positive presences and role models
Yeah.
online. The problem is for example, like the only people you mentioned are people that are looking for that attention, and they get it by saying that they get it by I'm not sure of the people that you mentioned, but like people say the craziest, most hateful things just to get people to turn their heads and say, just so they can say, look at me.
Right.
Or they attack somebody, and then like attacks, they snowball into like who can say the meanest thing, because that's the person that's going to get credit for like taking this person out. It's really
Kathleen Kennedy is another example. She's in charge of all of these films, and she has a long history of making some of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to learn this lesson, but sometimes you can't help it. You should never read the comments. If you don't like a section and you read the comments of the things people say to her.
I don't get comments because I'm not popular yet, but I got a thumbs down the other day. I'm like, elaborate.
Right.
Like it's tough, dude.
I mean, imagine like, I'm going to find you and murder you and find your children and do these terrible things.
Dude,
like, they get
nuts,
that kind of
man.
stuff all the time. It's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's fine if you don't like the movie. Move on,
The
bro.
only comments that really hurt are the ones where you think are true, though. Because like people say crazy stuff, and I see crazy comments all the time, and I go, "That's about you, isn't it?" Like, it's usually that. But every once in a while, there's like a comment, like, like I'll get one like, "Does that guy ever stop flexing?" And I'm like, "Ah, damn it! I must have stopped flexing. That way he could see the difference." It's only the things that are true.
I get that too.
But it is a very interesting time. And I was telling my wife, because I get wrapped up in the political thing too, and 2 years ago it was to the point where I felt physically less healthy, because I was always thinking and engaging in these political debates, and your relationships crumble. Your friendships become more contentious, and then you yourself are stuck in this like where you're thinking about these things that provide you no value, and now we're coming up on midterms. Same thing.
Yeah,
not as bad, but still pretty bad, where you're just like, it becomes this like Orwellian world where you're just like disconnected from people, because you don't know if you're supposed to be in this camp or you're in that camp. And like, that's a whole nother discussion. But I wish more conversations were about being charitable, giving back, helping people, and because all the politics aside, most people when they're sitting aside across from somebody, we both want the same things in life. We just see things, we might see things through a different lens, but we lose like the humanity when we just think about the politics of it all. And it's a sad thing, man. So it's good that good things are still happening.
Yeah, things like this is meant to be remembering what this is all about. Remember being a kid, and like we're all in this together regardless of what we believe in. Let's do something nice for people that are less fortunate at it's supposed to be one of the funnest times of the year. I totally agree.
Because I'm sure people felt it 2 years ago, where like Christmas, it was a different type of Christmas for a lot of people. I would say a lot of families didn't even get together with their family because of the climate of that day, of that period, that few month period. And then I hope that this time we kind of can like get past that and focus on the things that are good. So I feel like we have a political podcast in our future. I'm pulling all reins. But thanks for stopping in, and
anytime.
And we're gonna have a fun couple months, and we're gonna blast this thing. We're gonna make it big, and it's gonna be a good time for everybody that contributes and everybody that gets involved. So I hope everybody does.
You can, if you want to find us, Kessel Toy Run or at Kessel Toy Run on Twitter.
Okay.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Gmail, however you want to contact us. Just look up the Kessel Toy Run and it'll pop up. YouTube. If you want to go back and look at last year's, just go to YouTube and Kessel Toy Run.
and I'll link all the stuff in the video as well. And then any final thoughts?
No, man.
I mean,
Can't wait.
it's not the Jerry Springer show. You don't gotta have like your final thoughts. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.